Welcome to Let Me Catch You Up, the podcast where I explain reality TV to my husband.
And I ask a lot of questions.
I'm Liz, a longtime Bravo watcher who's been following Summer House for years.
And I'm Pat, a casual observer who's been in the room, sometimes paying attention.
Each week, we're recapping the latest episode of Summer House, breaking down the drama, the relationships, and everything you might have missed. Whether you've watched every episode,
or you're just trying to keep up.
We're here to catch you up. Let's get into it. We're going to be covering Summer House Season 10, Episode 2, Stone Cold Truth today. But before we dive into that, let's address the elephant in the room. What happened to our recap of the premiere episode?
So we did record episode 1, but we didn't have time to edit it and release it. So it's not really relevant anymore. So we just wanted to go on to episode 2 and post that one.
Yeah. If you haven't guessed, we both have day jobs. So unfortunately, we had to move on. That audio may just stay on the cutting room floor. Let's talk a little bit about our takeaways from the first episode. I was surprised how toxic Kyle and Amanda were from the start, like from the jump, from the time at which they're getting in the car and she's already like, I can't stand you, Kyle, and why are you always talking about your DJ deck?
Right. Most of the episode centered on their relationship kind of struggling and then Kyle's DJ aspirations.
Yeah. The other takeaways I had, seems like the new cast is strong. We liked everybody.
Right.
And I really enjoyed Carl's energy. I kept calling him Cowboy Carl because he had that cowboy hat on. But his energy, it reminded me of a cringy but sweet dad trying to be cool. Like he's just like the grandpa of the house or something, or the dad of the house, but in a good way. Like he seems to be in a good place. I'm happy for him. And I'm just really enjoying this new Carl this season.
Yeah, I think my takeaway for Carl was he was kind of corny but genuine.
And our MVPs for the episode, mine was Carl because of what I mentioned already.
Mine was West. I just thought he threw a good party.
And with that, I think we'll get back into episode 2. I noticed there was actually no specific episode description on YouTube TV this week. Any initial thoughts about this week's episode?
Yeah, this one was tough. I mean, it was a lot of Kyle and Amanda and just a lot of arguing, bitterness, just kind of the beginning of the unraveling of their relationship. So it was pretty hard to watch.
Yeah, I wrote Amanda and Kyle still pretty toxic. I felt like nothing really happened this episode, but I still enjoyed it. I don't know. As you mentioned, there's a lot of Amanda and Kyle. Mia, she makes her debut, another new cast member later in the episode. Sierra is chill, and Jesse is really pulling hard to fill Paige's bedbug spot. Those were my main takeaways from the episode, but there's plenty more to talk about. So this episode picks up where the last episode left off at the end of the party, where Kyle and Amanda are fighting. Kyle is giving Amanda a hard time for going in the pool in her bra and underwear, kind of inexplicably. I mean, he is notorious for walking around parties with just something over his dick and balls, but you can see his ass. He definitely skinny dips in prior seasons.
Well, they even did the montage of all the skinny dipping, and he even said, I don't really know why I'm mad. I don't have a good reason. I don't know. I'm mad.
Yeah, I think Amanda said he just doesn't like when she's having fun and he's not, which seems to ring true a little bit. Okay, so the next thing that happened was shocking to me. The party ends and they're going out. And I was like, what time is it? How long was this party? How do you have energy to go out?
Yeah, I didn't piece together the timing or how late it was, but
I mean, they showed the time. They went out at 9:43. So it's not like they went out that late. But
okay.
I don't know how long the party was, how many hours they'd already been drinking in the heat. I don't know, just made me tired thinking about it. But before they go out, there's a montage of them getting ready, and I enjoyed Carl brushing his hair and then using the brush as a fly swatter. So they go out to a bar. The first thing that I noticed is Kyle has a second place ribbon tagged to his shirt.
I saw I didn't see it as a second place, but I saw that he had a ribbon on, yeah.
As I was going through my notes, I was like, God, why was he wearing that ribbon? It makes no sense. And then I was trying to like describe what it was, and it was like a ribbon you might get at a county fair. And I was like, oh, duh, it's from the party. It's from the theme.
Right, right, that makes sense. Yeah, I don't think I realized that it was still the 4th of July either until the next day. They said July 5th, and I was like,
Uh-huh.
"Oh, that's right, that was, the 4th of July party." Yeah,
Yeah, so it's still the first weekend of filming,
yeah.
essentially. Um, Other things from the night out, all the girls love Ben. We learn a little bit more about him. So apparently he was super religious growing up, and they did not talk about sex in his household. We see some pictures of it seems like he has at least a decent amount of siblings. I didn't count, but then we kind of transition into a conversation where the guy, like Jesse and Wes, are kind of like asking Kyle about what happened with Amanda and Kyle after the dip in the pool. They're like, were you jealous? Like, what's going on? And then Kyle just kind of goes into complaints about Amanda that have nothing to do with going in the pool, but she talks about how she's a pothead, she smokes every night, they don't have sex. He also starts complaining about how messy she is. What were your thoughts on this whole thing?
Yeah, so have they talked about Amanda being, like, a huge pothead in the past? That was news to me, but maybe that's something that's been brought up before.
I think they've definitely talked about her smoking before, I think, but I don't
Yeah.
remember it being like a big issue.
I don't know. I thought it was funny, but then also they did like the clips of their house or their apartment, whatever, and they showed like the ashtray with like the joints in there and stuff like that, or whatever.
Yeah,
I thought that was kind of funny. Yeah, there's part of me that kind of felt bad for him a little bit. I kind of had this, okay, like there's two sides to every story, but like his complaints about her or more like, "She's messy. I don't like that she smoked." I don't know if he's asked her directly, point blank, like, "Hey, I need you, if we're gonna continue this relationship, to fix these things," but she clearly has
right,
done that to him, and he's been like,
right.
"No, I'm not doing that." So, they're just not seeing eye to eye. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely have some compatibility issues. The messiness thing is tough. Like, it's hard as a couple if like one person's like way neater than messy or whatever.
Mhm.
I didn't like that he was like, because they were like, "Have you talked to her about the mess and stuff?" And he's like, "Yeah, I called her mom and asked her to come help last summer." And I was like, "What? Why are you calling her mom to help her clean up? Why don't you help her clean up? Like, if it's a problem." I mean, I understand maybe you're so frustrated or whatever, but kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah, and I mean, Lindsay says that, like, he called her to complain, and then he's complaining to the guys in the group. We don't see them talking directly about their issues with one another. It's
Yeah.
kinda like just yelling at each other or blowing up.
Yeah, their communication's definitely not functioning. Uh so as he's kind of talking about messiness and if her mom's come to help before, he just seemed very drunk too, so take this all with a grain of salt probably. But
Mhm.
Amanda comes over because I think her ears are burning and she's like, "Hey, what are you guys talking about?" And then KJ kind of like awkwardly says something, which
Yeah, he said, like, "We got your back, man." And she's like, Why do you need to have his back? What the fuck's going
yeah,
on?"
he's new to reality TV. So, yeah, Kyle just kind of starts saying, "Oh, you're so disinterested in me and like you never do anything with me, you never whatever." And she's just like, "You over exaggerate everything." Cuz he's like, "I get nothing from you." And Amanda's like, "You complain to everyone else but me." And
Right.
Kyle storms off. And kind of back to your point that he's telling Carl about his issues. He's telling, especially later in the episode, he's telling Lindsay. He's complaining to the guys.
Mhm.
But has he actually told Amanda how he's feeling? So then we get a little bit of a montage of them at the bar. I have a note from it that KJ's grill makes an appearance,
Oh
which
yeah.
I don't know if you remember from the first episode. West was talking when he was introducing him. He was like, "Yeah, he's a little bit quieter, but once he like lets loose, he's really fun. He has a grill like that he wears, blah blah blah." So it was already mentioned in the first episode, which then got me thinking like, did he start wearing the grill at the bar? Was he already wearing it when he left the house? Or is it like a retainer that has like a case that you carry around and you put in
I,
when the moment strikes?
yeah, I don't have a lot of experience with grills. I don't know exactly how it works.
I don't know what the norms are.
Yeah.
They show that Amanda and Sierra get home about 11:30, so they weren't out that late. And then everybody else also gets back. I think their car was just slightly behind. Or if they got back a lot later, they didn't show the time that I noticed. Kyle is kind of like spiraling and drunk. That's kind of like being shown while Carl is kind of in his confessional talking about how he knows they're in a bad place, but he doesn't know how to help Kyle. But I'm kind of like, it's not really your job to help Kyle, is it?
Yeah. I mean, it's his best friend or whatever, and yeah, I think it's a genuine concern or whatever. But yeah, it's not your job.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, the only other note I have from that night is they are kind of celebrating that they outlived Kyle, that they were able to stay up later than him. And
Yeah.
then West starts trying to DJ for a minute.
Yeah. And that I got nervous for a second. I thought the DJ deck was going down when KJ that like fell backwards or whatever, and
That would have been great.
yeah.
No mentions of the word DJ deck in this episode, so then we come to the next morning. I think it shows Carl waking up and he texts people asking if they want bagels, which leads me to last week we had Cowboy Carl. This week I'm calling him Camp Counselor Carl because I felt like his little like text and stuff. I just thought that was funny.
The text was kind of corny, but obviously everybody was like, "Oh, thank God you're a hero."
Yeah. Yeah. Thank God there's one adult here.
Right.
We get a little bit of Levi and Bailey talking about the guys. They talk a little bit about Carl and that it seems like they like him. I don't know if Bailey thinks he's cute. They also talk about how hot Ben is, and Bailey talks about how she usually falls for losers and is trying to kind of change that. And then we get the bedbug meetup. So we see Sierra. She kind of saunters into Jesse's room. And then shortly after, Amanda comes in, which I
Mhm.
thought was cute. And they're kind of like, Amanda, how did you know we were here? And she's like, oh, I looked on Find My. So I don't know if she has like Sierra's location, but does it work that accurately?
Yeah, I thought it was like general, like you're at this house or whatever, but
Yeah. I mean, it is a big house, but
yeah.
um I don't remember too much of like super interest from the conversation other than they debrief about how it was a good party and that Sierra loved the animals and it seems like she's warming up to the idea of being friends again with West. Anything else you remember from that conversation?
No, was it this episode or the last episode where Wes is like, it's kind of like up to you, whatever
Oh
do,
yeah.
but
No, Jessie was talking to her and she's like, "Oh, it's in God's hands." And he's like, "Literally it's in your hands."
oh, that was Jesse. Oh,
um
okay.
yeah. Actually, the most important thing from this scene is that Kyle is like, "Where did everybody go?" and like finds them and then is like pissed that they're doing their bed rotting thing and Sierra's kind of just like, "Go away." And he just kind of stomps off in a huff.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I wonder if that is starting kind of the fuel because like he's obviously not happy with Sierra specifically, so like maybe that got him in a grumpy mood.
I don't know. And then they eat. We learn that has a bruise or cut on her face because she got stepped on by a baby goat at the party. Um, and then they all pack up and go home or go back to the city. When we get back to the city, we see KJ skateboarding, which was cool. And then there's a shot of Ben in his apartment. Did you notice what he was doing?
I don't
He
remember
was
Ben in his
talking to
apartment.
his plants. I just thought that was randomly funny. I mean, they do say plants that you talk to do better. So
It's just science.
So then we get the scene of Sierra, Lindsay, and Amanda catching up in the city. Lindsay seems really happy. She kind of gives an update that Gemma's doing really well. She handled her breakup well with Turner. Seems like they have kind of like shared custody and things are functioning. Seems like they have a functioning relationship. And then she starts talking about how Kyle called her this week and told her about how he's feeling so alone in his relationship. And Amanda is like, okay, well, I've asked him to change his drinking and going out. And instead of doing any of that, he chose to start DJing and going out. And she is sick of his kind of going out behavior, leading to constant rumors like how he fell asleep. I don't think this part is a rumor that he fell asleep at a fan's apartment, but rumors of nefarious activity. I don't know, him cheating or not cheating, but has cheated in the past, so she's also sensitive to that.
Yeah.
It just seems like they both have valid issues with the relationship, but Kyle doesn't seem like he's willing to change to meet Amanda's needs. And then Amanda kind of just seems like she's past her point of caring because she's asked for him to change to meet her needs for so long and he hasn't. So at this point, she's kind of like, well, I don't really care if you're upset with me about anything I'm doing because you don't do anything that I ask you to do. I'm guessing. I don't know. But
Yeah, I think they're not meeting in the middle. It's kinda like they both have their problems with each other, and neither one of them is working to change those things or anything.
yep. So then we learn a little bit more about Bailey and her work. She has a lifestyle brand called It Girl, and they show her interviewing a woman and kind of show her doing her work. But I think she has a podcast and a brand, and I think a part of it is that she interviews different women that are it girls and kind of asks them who's their quintessential it girl. And she has built like a whole brand off of that and social media following and stuff. I don't know a ton, but I did a little bit of research last week about everybody's jobs, but it looks kind of fun. And then we make it to Brooklyn and Carl's apartment for a heart to heart with Kyle. Carl's apartment looked really nice. Seems like he's
Yeah.
liking living in Brooklyn, which is close to where his soft bar is too, I'm assuming.
Yeah, he talked about, like, bouncing around, looking at different places, kind of all over the place, and then he finally settled on
Didn't
Brooklyn,
he
and
say
he's
that he was considering moving to a different state for a little bit too after his breakup?
yeah, well, he said he looked at Charleston and, like, Pittsburgh,
Yeah,
and I don't know what was drawing him to, like, those other places or whatever, but,
yeah,
he basically just said, "I found a place here, and I like it here now, so I'm happy."
yeah. So I think at this point in the episode, there's a little Easter egg or underrated moment. We see a zebra statue in his apartment. I don't know if you noticed that.
I didn't notice the zebra.
It has been in previous seasons. Its nickname is Wesley Stripes.
That's pretty good.
And I forget where it originated, but Lindsay and Carl definitely had it in their apartment when they lived together. So when they broke up, people were like, "Oh, who's gonna get custody?" So I guess Carl got custody. That answers that. Okay, so then Kyle and Carl have their sit down. Kyle talks about how he feels bad about talking shit about Amanda. And then he starts going into, but I had to put $500,000 of my own money to save my business. Sales are down. I started DJ to pay my bills. I have to eye roll to this whole thing.
Yeah, I did too. I mean, he's in a stressful situation, and Loverboy's not sounds like it's not doing great, or it's at least, like, kind of in a lull right now or whatever, but to say that the DJing is what's, like, keeping your marriage
Yeah.
and your finances afloat and everything, there's gotta be other ways that he's making money. I don't think he needs to rely on DJing. I think that's an excuse.
Yeah. Like he says he has stopped taking a salary,
Right.
but like that's pretty common, I feel like, for founders of
Yeah.
companies.
Yeah.
I think it was, to me, my eye roll moment was he's feels bad about talking shit about Amanda, but he's like, the but is, oh, I'm having like financial struggles and my company is having struggles, so I had to start DJing, and it's like all just an excuse for him to continue his bad behavior, I think.
Well, and again, Amanda is saying it's not the DJing that she has a problem with necessarily. It's the drinking and the staying out late and stuff like that. Like
Right,
I
exactly.
I I do think he could
But he
make
kind of
money off
uses
of
that as an
DJing.
excuse.
Right.
Yeah. And then he talks about how he doesn't feel like she reciprocates anything. But my question was, does he do anything that she can reciprocate? Because in the first episode, he talked about how he was basically gone every weekend for the last 6 months.
Hmm.
So, what is he doing to invest in their relationship that he's feeling that she's not reciprocating? I think, I mean, they've been on this show for like 10 years and, he works a lot. It almost seems like he just expects every summer they're going to be great and like spend all this time together and reconnect. And I think for Amanda, she's at the point where she's not getting a lot like outside of the summer, kind of what she needs. So I don't know. We don't know everything about the relationship, but that was my question.
Yeah.
And then Carl's being supportive, and Kyle, quote, says, I mean, we're not on the brink of collapse, but they are on the brink of collapse.
They
Like,
are.
it's
Yeah.
clear. I mean, even if we didn't know that they end up breaking up after the season, they seem like they're on the brink of collapse.
Yeah. Yeah. Things don't seem good.
Yeah. So then we see all of the different groups driving back to the summer house for the next weekend. But what we learn is that Amanda and Kyle did not talk over the week about the prior weekend, about any of the like issues or fights
Hmm.
they had last weekend. So they haven't cleared the air on that. And then Sierra arrives with her friend Mia. Mia's a new cast member. So we learn about Mia that she's a realtor now, but she used to work at a club called The Box, a sex club, which
Right.
she said is how she kind of got out of her shell and learned to like not be shy. Have you heard of The Box before?
I had not heard of the box.
So I heard about it last season when Jesse talked about how him and Lexi went with her parents out to the box
Yeah. 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 Okay.
and they were like, it's a sex club and her parents are going out with her to a sex club in New York. Like,
That whole dynamic with
that's
her and her
a little
parents.
odd.
Yeah, that was weird.
But Mia seems great and her and Sierra announce that they're gonna cook dinner. So then everybody's kind of like sitting outside, chilling. They talk a little bit about last week and Kyle's like, "Oh yeah, I wish I could get my credit card back from the bar they went to." And they talk about how he like fell. And then Amanda kind of is like, "What? I didn't realize you were that drunk." And then they just start fighting about how he makes, she's like criticizing how he makes bad decisions all the time. Kyle says she's a cactus.
Yeah, hot take of the week or whatever, but I I kind of felt bad for Kyle. Like they all went out, they all got drunk and stuff, and then she was like, "You were drunk last night." But there was just like moments throughout this episode. And it's kind of building up where he's just kind of like getting chat on in front of everybody, like as a crowd or whatever, and kind of felt bad for him a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I also thought it was a little uncalled for that Amanda just like went 0 to 60 when he was just kind of making a joke. But yeah, he makes it easy to pick on him.
Yeah, yeah.
It was a little bit tough. That was a little tough to watch. I have a note that Bailey and Levi then chat about Kyle and Amanda's relationship while people are kind of like waiting for dinner to get ready. I think they were kind of like, what the hell is going on with them?
Hmm.
We also get a little heart to heart with KJ and Sierra. I'm curious if this was actually happening while they were supposed to be cooking dinner or was this a different point in the night? But they did talk about how their moms were kind of strict growing up and especially as black people in whiter areas, like telling him you need to like not play your music loud. And Sierra was kind of like, I didn't really get it when I was younger, but I understand now what she was doing to try to protect me. And then they just talk about supporting their moms. And Sierra gets emotional talking about her parents because her parents fought growing up. And I think she maybe sometimes felt like her mom wasn't always there for her emotionally in the way she wanted growing up. But then thinking back now, she realizes how hard it was for her mom. So she's trying to make her relationships better. That's the second episode in a row where we get a sweet heart to heart with KJ and Sierra.
It seems like they're kind of forming like a little bond. I don't think it's romantic necessarily, but I think they kind of like,
No,
yeah, they have some things in common, and I think they've definitely kind of struck up a friendship. So it's nice to see.
yeah. Then everybody gets ready for dinner and people sit down to dinner. It's outside. It looks like a really nice setup. And Kyle like stands up and then it immediately just like turns into this like awkward soliloquy apology to the group, which Amanda and Sierra start making snide comments off to the side while he's like doing this. What were your thoughts during this scene?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is like again one of those things where I was like, it's funny, it's kind of mean, but like it's also Kyle. So like there was a couple people like you could tell like West was just like he wasn't trying to be mean, but he also couldn't keep a straight face. And like again, it's Kyle. Like he always does this. Like he makes these announcements in front of everybody and everything,
Yeah.
and it's like and like Amanda says this like this would be nice for you to tell me in private.
Yeah. He definitely has a pattern of like when he like gets on his little like soapbox or whatever, like he has to get his like feelings out or his perspective out. Don't interrupt him or don't make it like don't distract from it being about him or he will get very upset.
Yeah.
Um
He gets so serious and then he gets like
yeah.
really, really emotional if anybody takes away his like serious moment. So it's not the first time something like that's happened.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, I understood why he was frustrated with Amanda in that moment, but also
Yeah.
he takes himself too seriously in those moments.
I was thinking like, oh, maybe she was like high, and then she was just like couldn't help but like giggle throughout like all of his comments and stuff, and that got her in trouble. So
Possible. But that pretty much brought us to the end of this episode. So, similarly to the end of episode 1 of this season, we end with a Kyle and Amanda fight. Seems to be a pattern.
yeah, I think every episode might end like that.
I didn't really have any red flags or reality TV behavior this episode.
Kyle having his meltdown and slamming doors and like he like stood up and like knocked over his chair and then slammed the door and
Oh
everything.
yeah, I
So
forgot. Yeah, he
yeah.
storms off. Actually, that was red flag or reality TV behavior because he gets upset about something that's not that big of a deal. He storms off and then he slams the door and like the painting or whatever mounted on the wall falls
Right.
off as he storms in.
Yeah. It it felt like I know he was like upset or whatever, but it was a little bit overplayed. It was dramatic.
Yeah, I think it was a little reality TV behavior.
Yeah.
Also a red flag a little bit too,
Both, yeah.
but it's Kyle. I mean, he makes the show also entertaining, so. Who was your MVP of the episode? Did you have one?
I had Carl as being the MVP just because he got bagels. I think that's a good move. Step up to the plate kind of moment. So I gave him the MVP.
Nice. I chose Carl last week, so I felt like I couldn't choose him again this week. Maybe Jesse. Uh, he didn't have that prominent of a role in the episode, but I liked his moments when he was kind of like asking Kyle about the fight in the beginning of the episode and then weaseling his way into the bed rotting with Amanda and
Mm.
Sierra. I'm liking that little dynamic with them. I don't know. Or maybe it was Sierra because I liked her vibes this episode too.
Yeah, yeah. I think I picked Wes last week. But he had some, I don't know, kind of funny moments, whatever. Like, I just thought it was funny that he kept on like asking like KJ, like, "Do you want me to like keep checking in on you, or are you like annoyed by it?
Yeah.
Like, I just want to make sure you're doing okay." And he's like, "Nah, man, keep checking on me. It's cool."
Yeah, that was cute. Do you have any hot takes this week?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I can keep on defending Kyle because I feel like that's a tough camp to be in. But yeah, I guess I'll just say it makes me uncomfortable. I feel like it just makes such an awkward vibe.
Yeah. You don't like when people gang up on other people?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that if it's like a fight or whatever, if it's like an argument between like two people, I feel like that's like good reality television. But when it's like the whole house is like against one person or whatever, then it starts feeling like kind of like bullying or something. I don't know.
I don't feel it to that extent, but I understand your perspective. I definitely think he deserves a lot of the hard times people are giving him, and
Yeah.
you got to be able to make fun of yourself. So I think he
Right.
makes it easy because he takes himself too seriously sometimes, you know, but he can also be really goofy and crazy. So it's like, which Kyle are you going to get? All right. Well, I think that brings us to the end of our recap for season 10, episode 2. And I thought we could start rating the episodes out of 5 sandwiches, as a homage to Lindsay. And how many sandwiches have you made for me? Iconic quote. How many sandwiches would you give this episode?
I gave it 3.5. I feel like it was a good episode. It was solid. There's the dinner fight and everything, but like we didn't have one of like the blowout parties or like there wasn't a lot of like fun moments or whatever. So um good, not great.
Yeah, you, I mean, you can't, I didn't write it down, so you can't fact check that I had the same thought before you said it, but I also was going to say 3.5
Nice.
sandwiches for this week's episode. Like I said at the beginning, I felt like nothing really happened. It was just dealing with kind of the fallout of the first weekend and then dipping our toes leading into the next weekend because it was just Friday of the following weekend. So, a decent episode, some good character development and setup of things, but hoping to learn more about see more details about some of the new people and see some new relationships form. And I'm interested to see a little bit more than just Amanda and Kyle fighting. So hopefully next episode's a little more
Agreed.
variety. Okay, and that wraps us up. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow the show on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen and leave us a rating and review.
And if you have questions you want answered this season,
Send them our way because chances are Pat's wondering the same thing.